Hi, this is Rostin Callerman with the Luke 10 community. I'm here with John White. How you doing, John?
Hey, Rustin.
Well, last time that we got together, we talked about this recent Luke 10 conference that happened, which felt so experientially different than not just other conferences, but even other past Luke 10 conferences. And we talked about John's past experience of putting on different conferences, especially with House to House, but also with Luke 10. This week, we wanted to talk a bit more about what exactly was the difference? What were the nuts and bolts? How do we do this? So John, what happens in this? How do you put on this experientially different conference?
Well, I've been thinking about that, trying to kind of summarize some of these ideas. And first thing I want to say is it really comes under the Luke 10 mission.
Okay.
So we say that our mission is to connect and equip emerging house church leaders or small group leaders around the world. So the two verbs there are really the connecting part and the equipping part. And I think both of those things happened at this conference in a very unique and spontaneous and powerful way. Here's some of the elements that as I've reflected. And again, I think this kind of a conference is reproducible. I think, what if down the road we literally saw dozens of smaller regional conferences like this happening literally around the world. It could be in Thailand or in Russia or Germany or Tennessee or wherever. I had kind of that vision that something like this could happen. Here are some of the elements that come to me. The first thing is that this conference was not a come one, come all kind of anybody show up sort of a conference. There's a place for that. It's not a bad thing. But this is a conference for what I would call practitioners. What I mean by that is men and women who've been through Church 101, who are practicing the two rhythms of attention, connecting with each other on a heart level, connecting with the Lord, and who are in a leader team. So practitioners. What that means is that everybody who came was on the same page. So we didn't have to start and kind of bring people up to speed on things. And so you in one sense, hit the ground running. And so the whole 3 days, because we're going through Labor Day, was able to be used by that. We didn't have to introduce things to people. Something about that was very significant.
So this conference wasn't an evangelism strategy.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all. It was a chance to be together with a larger group of people to do these same two things, to practice these rhythms together. I always think of Kent Smith's comment about the soccer star Pele, who supposedly, went to find this quote sometime, supposedly said, "I only have two moves, but I do them very well." Well, that's kind of what Luke 10 is about. We only have two moves, right? Connecting with each other on a heart level, connecting with the Lord, and everything else emerges out of that. It's just remarkable how, whether it's a CO2, Church of Two, or a group of 50 people, this amazing life, the life of Jesus, emerges out of those rhythms over and over and over. That happens.
Yeah. It's almost unbelievable that all that emerges from those two. I talk about that with people who have recently come out of a big church or currently a pastor at a big church, and I'll say, in this church planning organization I work with, this is what we do. These are the two things that we do, and all of these things happen because of it. And I think, and I can almost see them running through their schedule in their heads and thinking of all the time they spend planning all the different things that they do in their church, and they can't believe it.
Changes the whole paradigm of stuff. That makes me think back to, 3 or 4 years ago, we had this guy who was doing a doctoral dissertation on church planting. He was going around to different places in the country where there were like networks of churches that were being planted.
I see where this is going.
And so he came to Denver and he said, "Can I interview some of the people that you've trained?" And when he got done, he said, "This is remarkable. This is the only place that I've gone, these other whole discipleship networks." He said, "Everybody tells me the same thing."
Okay.
And it was just, everybody is on the same page with that. So that makes a difference.
That's not where I thought it was going. I thought he was going to say, "Well, what else?"
Yeah, really.
What else do you do? I need to write 30 pages on this.
Right. That's why we call it simple church, right?
Yeah.
So second thought is size for these, whatever we call them, conferences, retreats, whatever. And I think this could be done with just a small group. It could be 6, 8, 10 people.
Wow.
That would work in a house for
Wow.
a weekend. What if these were multiplying around little regional groups? That would be powerful. And we've done it with 50 now with the Labor Day conference. I suspect next Labor Day probably we'll have another conference. I expect there'll be 100 people there.
Wow.
And we'll see what that looks like. A second thing to explore, I think, is the idea of what do you actually do? What's the schedule look like with a conference like this? I have 3 things that came to my mind. The first one is it's really important to have some small groups. So now if it's a small group to begin with, you don't have to worry about that. You can all do it together. But we do these table groups at breakfast. So we divided 50 people into 10, we called them leader teams around the breakfast table. We put them purposely with people they'd never met before. Most people didn't know each other, about 5 or 6 people in each group.
Okay.
And they had breakfast together every morning. They checked in with each other. They went and listened to the Lord, came back and shared. And remarkable things happen in that context. Everybody was experiencing that. So the small groups. Second thing is workshops. In any group, there are going to be people that have particular giftings, areas of expertise. And so we arrange time every afternoon to have workshops. And so you could go talk to Richard and Carolyn about what's going on in Israel. That was really amazing. Or Tim Morris about apostolic and so on. And a third thing we did is a manual church. So every night, instead of scheduling another speaker or something like that, we're just going to come together with a manual, with God with us, listen to him, and let him direct the whole thing. And again, remarkable things came out of that. There was worship that occurred. There was prayer for the world. There were all kinds of things that happened. A fourth item is I think you need some sort of a leader team within the conference, even if it's just 2 people. And their job is mainly as facilitators to kind of watch and see what's going on, not to tell everybody what to do, but to help the group see what the Lord is up to. And then lastly, I love this phrase. The attitude is, let Jesus drive. So Jesus is the head of the church. He's head of the conference. And if we pay attention to him and listen to him, he takes us where he wants us to go. And it's not anything like the conferences that I spent years as a pastor planning. That was good. Nothing wrong with that. This is sort of a whole different animal, as we've said before. So those are elements, I think, of this kind of conference, which I think could multiply.
And we were kind of joking about that metaphor right before we started this video. But a lot of times when people talk about Jesus, let Jesus drive, it's just Jesus take the wheel. It's Jesus has I still have the throttle, I still have the brakes, but in this case, Jesus is in the driver's seat and I'm not.
Yep.
And so I think one other additional aspect of all of this is Jesus has the key, and Jesus starts this or doesn't start this. And so just like everything else we're doing, the question isn't, oh, should I do a conference or not? The question is, Jesus, what do you want me to do?
And as things would come up, like the toilets aren't working. Well, Jesus, what do you want to say about that, right? Or whatever else. So everything emerged out of listening.
This 2017 conference is going to go down in infamy for the water situation.
We'll never forget that.
We'll never forget it. Yeah, that's all really exciting. And yeah, like we talked about in the last video, conference, the word conference almost feels a little intimidating for this. Partly because it feels like putting on a show for other people. And that's just not what this is. I'm not trying to dog on the word or anything like that, but if I want people to come away from this video not thinking, oh man, I can't put on a conference. I want them to come away thinking, wow, it's not on me whether or not this happens. This is Jesus's show. And
takes all the pressure off.
If Jesus wants me to do it, then it's not my job to make it work.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Do you have anything else you want to say about the whole thing?
That's all I've got right now.
All right. Well, thank you, John. This has been really helpful, and this is going to go down and as as the first time that we've publicly declared to the world this new aspect of the Luke 10 community.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, John.
Thanks, Rustin.